Welcome to Women's Rugby Rundown 195 for March 31st through April 6th. The Black Ferns locked up the Sevens League title after a dominant regular season, capping it with a statement win over Australia and Singapore. Pools for the upcoming Sevens Championship in Los Angeles were confirmed, with the final challenger spots still up for grabs in Krakow next weekend. Spain improved to 2-0 in the European Championship and will face second-place Netherlands in a top-table clash this weekend. In the U.S., National Collegiate Rugby's reversal of its transgender inclusion policy has sparked backlash across the rugby community. We'll have an update on that. Keep watching. Concerns continue to grow around the expected 2035 RWC bid from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE over serious human rights issues. That and more as we round up all the global premier and club competitions worldwide.
I'm Wendy, here to bring you the latest in women's rugby news. This is your Women's Rugby Rundown, and we're about to kick off. Let's start with some Sevens news. New Zealand's Black Ferns were crowned Sevens League winners after dominating the 2025 regular season. You can see this domination, Wallaroos only getting them twice early on in the season, and then it was New Zealand the rest of the way. They finished out Singapore with a 31-7 win over Australia and took home the league title. The championship pools based on rankings throughout all of the stops were confirmed in Singapore with 2 pools of 4, and the top 2 from each will advance to the semis. This is pretty tight. We've got New Zealand in Pool A, Canada, Japan, Great Britain, and then over in Pool B, Australia, France, USA, Fiji. When you look at those top 3 teams at each stop that we were just looking at a second ago, kind of think you know where it's going to go, but you never know. Sevens is a wild sport and anything can happen. We'll find out the final 4 qualifier teams after the last Sevens Challenger stop in Krakow this weekend. Kenya, Argentina, and South Africa are leading the race, but with Sevens being Sevens, you can't count out Thailand, Poland, Czechia, or Uganda shaking things up. Find Rugby Now is an organization that oversees LIT Sevens, and they have mostly held tournaments for a long time over in the United Kingdom. They're looking to get into the American market, and so their first foray into this is a nearly sold-out event, April 11th to 13th in Chula Vista. They're offering athletes ages 13 and up the chance to train with Olympians Perry Baker, Nia Tapper, Carlin Isles, and more at the Olympic Training Center. We'll switch over to 15's news now. The 2035 Rugby World Cup, which will be a men's World Cup, is accepting bids at this time. We know that there's been bids from Spain, Italy, and there's an expected bid from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE. This is some serious concerns over human rights violations, criminalization of same-sex relationships, and threats to free speech and women's rights, prompting urgent questions about the future and values of sport. Are we going to accept this? Yes, they're offering a ton of money is what we're hearing. But is this really how we want to go forward in the world of sports, in particular in rugby? There's been a couple of small adjustments to the World Rugby women's rankings after 2 rounds of the Guinness Women's Six Nations. Ireland jumped to 5th after their strong showing, bumping Australia down while the USA moved up to 7th as Italy dropped to 8th with 2 losses. And there's likely more movement to come this month as there is a ton of matches coming up in April. Just to give you a preview of what's expected in April, it's so much that we couldn't put it on one image. And of course, we have all of these on our site, on our fixtures and results pages. But it's got international, regional championships. We've got World Rugby Sevens Challenger, Guinness Women's Six Nations continuing, European Championship, and competitions across Europe and the Pacific. The Guinness Women's Six Nations were on a break. Now we get into round 3. We're going to see France versus Wales, Scotland versus Italy, and Ireland facing England. That's another chance for the Utrecht Shield to trade hands. England and France look to stay unbeaten, while Wales and Italy are still chasing their first wins. And of course, Ireland would love to upset the Red Roses. In the European Championship, there were 2 matches this weekend. Spain beat Sweden 69-0, while Netherlands beat Portugal 40-5. This sets up a top-of-the-table clash coming up this weekend. Now we'll switch over to club and premier news. And actually, we're going to start in the United States at the college level. National Collegiate Rugby quietly changed its transgender inclusion policy a few weeks ago. It was originally reported on social media that they did it on Trans Inclusion Day. Not quite true, it was a couple of days before. But they've effectively banned trans women from championship play and their largest tournament of the year, the CRC's tournament. This, of course, sparked widespread backlash, even as other rugby governing bodies continue to uphold their inclusive guidelines. We're happy to report that after significant community pushback, NCR has reversed course and will now follow the 2015 IOC transgender policy, which is used by USA Rugby. It'll be slightly different, but this is good news for the community and the affected players. WER Round 3 saw Boston stay unbeaten, still on top of the table. Denver moved into second, and Bay Breakers grabbed their first win. There's only 2 matches on deck for Week 4, Denver versus Chicago. It's going to be a tough one for the Tempest. New York versus Bay should be very interesting. Boston and Twin Cities are on a rest. Only 1 match went forward in the Welsh Premiership as Pontyclun took the win over Seven Sisters, with Whatland versus Bonamine postponed. Handlaff North still holds the top spot. Round 9 of the BC Premier saw West Shore take the win over Burnaby Lake, locking in semi-final spots for Vancouver, West Shore, Castaway, and Seattle, with playoffs kicking off Saturday, April 26th. The Nigeria AIL semifinals are set for Saturday, April 13th this weekend, with Railway Union hosting Old Belvedere and UL Bohemian taking on Blackrock College. Both streamed live on Irish Rugby Plus as teams battle for a spot in the April 27th final at Aviva Stadium. The Series A Elite regular season has wrapped, and the final is set. Valsugana and Veal Lorba will face off for the title on May 10th, live on RAI. We've been trying to track the Kenya Cup for a couple of weeks now. It's been very difficult. There's no updates on social media. There's no updates on the website. But we were able to scour some team socials and found that Impala beat Kenya Harlequins 28-8. We believe that's one semifinal, but we can't find any other information on the second, or if and when the final is. If you know anything, let us know. The 2025 Super W Grand Final is set for this weekend, with the Wartaws and Reds meeting for the 5th time. The Super Rugby Opiki Final is set, Blues versus Matatu, and it'll take place this Saturday. That does it for us. Of course, there's more news on our site at yscrugby.com. Never miss an episode of Women's Rugby Rundown by subscribing on Spotify, Patreon, YouTube, or any of your favorite social media platforms.